The unthinkable has happened. I know, I'm about to report something that I think has never happened before. Microsoft released a bad update. Yes, but this update was so bad that simple things like the Windows button just wouldn't work. By the way, I also want to say the person who made this video, Gimp, Vim, man of culture.
Microsoft launched Windows 11 in October 2021, expecting a smooth transition from Windows 10, and that transition has turned into one of the slowest operating system adoptions in the company's history. 4 years after release, hardware vendors, enterprise customers, and millions of individual users continue to resist making the switch, and the numbers tell a story Microsoft clearly did not anticipate. The numbers Microsoft didn't want you to see. According to StatCounter data from November 2025, Windows 11 holds 53.7% of the Windows desktop market, while Windows 10 still commands 42.7%. That gap is narrower than anyone expected at this stage, and it only exists because Windows 10 officially reached end of support on October 14th, 2025. The pressure of losing security updates forced millions of users to finally upgrade, and even that wasn't enough to create the dominant market position Microsoft wanted. Dell's Chief Operating Officer, Jeffrey Clark, put the situation into perspective during the company's Q3 fiscal 2026 earnings call in November 2025. His exact words were direct and telling. "We have not completed the Windows 11 transition. In fact, if you were to look at it relative to the previous OS end of support, we are 10 to 12 points behind at that point with Windows 11 than we were the previous generation." When Dell, one of the largest PC manufacturers in the world, publicly admits that Windows 11 adoption is running 10 to 12 percentage points behind where Windows 10 was at the same stage in its life cycle, that's a significant admission of market failure. Microsoft has not released official adoption statistics, leaving third-party trackers and hardware vendor statements as the primary sources for understanding the transition's progress. StatCounter's figures come from approximately 1.5 million websites and combined data from consumer and business devices. The data shows that even with the deadline pressure of Windows 10's end of support, millions of users waited until the last possible moment to upgrade, and many still have not made the switch. The hardware wall Microsoft built.
Microsoft says they want to rebuild your trust in Windows. After a year of tone-deaf promises about turning Windows into an agentic OS, they're listening to feedback from the Windows community, and they plan to improve Windows in ways that are meaningful to people. They realize you don't like malware-esque pop-ups pushing Edge and Bing.
We're being tricked into switching to Edge and Bing after Windows updates. Or constant upsell prompts for cloud storage.
In 2026, their focus will be on fundamentals, like fixing dark mode in Windows 11, addressing File Explorer performance issues, and improving overall reliability. Maybe that'll keep you from fleeing the Windows ecosystem for Linux.
The hardware requirements bear significant responsibility for this adoption failure. Windows 11 demands TPM 2.0 UFI secure boot capability, and processors no older than Intel's 8th generation chips or AMD's Ryzen 2000 series. Those chips launched in 2017 and 2018 respectively, which means any computer built before that cutoff simply cannot run Windows 11 through official channels. Microsoft's hardware certification guidelines have required 2.0 in new Windows device models since July 28, 2016, but many older systems shipped with TPM 1.2 or no TPM at all, and those configurations are treated as insufficient. The practical impact of these requirements has been substantial. According to research from Canalys and estimates from consumer advocacy groups like PIRG, somewhere between 240 million and 400 million computers worldwide cannot meet these requirements. These are not ancient machines. A computer built in 2016 with an Intel Core i7-7700K processor, which was a high-end chip at the time and remains capable of running modern software without difficulty, is blocked from Windows 11 solely because it falls outside Microsoft's approved processor list. Dell's COO offered additional context on this hardware divide during the same earnings call. stating that approximately 500 million PCs cannot run Windows 11 at all, while another 500 million are capable of running it but have not yet upgraded. That's a billion computers in limbo, half of which are permanently locked out of the new operating system, regardless of what their owners want. The e-waste crisis. Microsoft created the environmental implications of these hardware restrictions have drawn attention from advocacy organizations across multiple continents. Right to Repair Europe published a report in September 2025, warning that computers discarded as a result of Windows 11's requirements could generate over 700 million kilograms of electronic waste. PIRG has been even more direct, calling the situation a potential environmental disaster. According to their research, only 15 to 20% of electronic waste actually gets recycled, which means most of those hundreds of millions of computers would end up in landfills. The manufacturing of those devices already produced an estimated 46 million tons of carbon emissions, equivalent to adding 9 million cars to the road for a year. The broken promise. The irony of this situation traces back to a promise Microsoft made in 2015. Jerry Nixon, a Microsoft developer evangelist speaking at the company's Ignite conference, told attendees that Windows 10 would be the last version of Windows. The concept was Windows as a service, continuously updated rather than replaced by numbered successors. Microsoft's official response at the time neither confirmed nor denied the claim, stating only that Windows 10 would be delivered as a service bringing ongoing innovations. 6 years later, Windows 11 arrived with hardware requirements that excluded millions of perfectly functional machines running the operating system Microsoft once positioned as the final destination. The extended security band-aid
What if I told you that Microsoft, who lost $400 billion in market cap today, that's the biggest drop since March of 2020, is warning that the AI bubble is about to burst and take trillions of dollars of wealth with it? And here's the frightening part. It's not just Microsoft. Meta also issued a frightening warning that these once cash-rich companies that printed money and endless profits for their investors are starting to hemorrhage cash with no end in sight on their AI.
Microsoft has attempted to soften the blow with extended security updates for Windows 10. Consumers can receive an additional year of security patches by paying $30 or by syncing their PC settings to Microsoft's cloud through a Microsoft account. Users can also redeem 1,000 Microsoft Rewards points as an alternative payment method. Users in the European Economic Area can receive the updates for free after consumer defense organizations challenged Microsoft's approach to gating the ESU process. Enterprise customers face steeper costs, with year one pricing set at $61 per device through Microsoft's volume licensing program, and the price increases each subsequent year with cumulative requirements, meaning companies cannot skip years and must pay for all previous years to access current updates. PIRG responded to the consumer ESU options by stating that Microsoft's approach won't make a dent in the up to 400 million Windows 10 PCs that cannot upgrade to Windows 11. The extended updates buy time, but do not solve the fundamental hardware incompatibility issue. Users on machines that cannot run Windows 11 will eventually face the same decision: buy new hardware, accept security risks, or switch to an alternative operating system. The AI features. Nobody asked for the AI features Microsoft has built into Windows 11 have created additional friction with users. Windows Recall, announced in May 2024, as a feature that would screenshot user activity every few seconds to enable AI-powered search through past actions, met immediate and intense backlash. Security researchers discovered the initial version stored all captured data in a plain text database, creating what one expert called a potential security nightmare. Privacy advocates raised alarms about the implications of an operating system that continuously monitors and records everything happening on screen. The privacy-focused messaging app Signal published a feature for Signal Desktop that blocks Recall from taking screenshots of Signal chats on Windows, enabled by default. Brave Browser and AdGuard added similar functionality in July 2025. Microsoft delayed Recall's release by over a year and eventually made it opt-in rather than enabled by default. but the controversy damaged trust in the company's AI direction. Security researcher Kevin Beaumont, who tested the release preview version, noted that while Microsoft made significant security improvements, including full database encryption, the implementation still raised concerns about false senses of security in customers. The Linux alternative gains ground. The combination of forced hardware upgrades, AI, features many users neither want nor trust, and the broken promise of Windows 10 as the final version has pushed some users toward alternatives entirely. Linux desktop adoption reached 5.03% market share in the United States in June 2025, according to StatCounter, marking the first time the open-source operating system crossed the 5% threshold in that market. Global Linux desktop share sits at approximately 4.7% as of 2025, and the growth rate has accelerated dramatically. It took Linux 2 decades to reach 1% market share in 2011, another decade to reach 2% in 2021, only 2.2 years to reach 3%, and just 0.7 years to reach 4%. The acceleration correlates directly with Windows 10's approaching end of support and dissatisfaction with Windows 11. The enterprise. Slowdown enterprises have moved cautiously as well. ControlUp survey of over 1 million business devices found that many organizations are still assessing migration readiness rather than completing transitions. The company noted that Windows 11 migration rates are significantly slower than what occurred with Windows 10, citing continued reliance on older hardware in organizations as a primary factor. Lansweeper's principal technical evangelist Esben Doshi told the Register that for businesses, the primary blocker is slow change management processes rather than hardware incompatibility alone. The Extended Security Update Program has become a strategic bridge for enterprises rather than a stopgap. Organizations are using ESU selectively, covering mission-critical systems with application dependencies, specialized hardware where Windows 11 drivers don't exist, and segments where refresh budgets have been delayed. This represents a departure from previous Windows transitions, where extended support was an edge case rather than standard planning. The financial reality. Microsoft's financial reports reflect the mixed results. While the company reported strong overall revenues with cloud services and enterprise products continuing to grow, the more personal computing division that includes Windows, Surface, and gaming declined year over year. Windows OEM revenue saw only modest growth despite the end of Windows 10 support theoretically driving upgrade demand. The situation leaves Microsoft in an uncomfortable position. The company designed Windows 11's hardware requirements around security features, like TPM 2.0 for hardware-based encryption and virtualization-based security, legitimate improvements that protect against sophisticated attacks. But those same requirements excluded enormous numbers of functional computers from the upgrade path, created an e-waste crisis that contradicts Microsoft's stated environmental commitments, and pushed users toward alternatives that don't require hardware replacement. Dell's prediction for the PC market captures the current reality. Despite Windows 10 reaching end of support and AI PCs receiving heavy marketing investment, the company forecasts PC sales will remain roughly flat in 2026. The massive upgrade cycle Microsoft and its hardware partners anticipated has not materialized. Users who cannot upgrade their existing hardware are not rushing to buy new machines in the numbers the industry expected. Where this leaves Microsoft. The 42.7% of Windows desktop users still running Windows 10 as of November 2025 represents hundreds of millions of people who either cannot or will not make the switch. Some are enrolled in extended security updates, buying time while they decide their next move. Others are running unsupported software and accepting the security risks. Still others have migrated to Linux or Mac OS rather than purchase new Windows hardware. Microsoft clearly expected Windows 11 to follow the same adoption curve as Windows 10, which achieved overwhelming market dominance well before its predecessor reached end of life. That expectation was wrong. The combination of strict hardware requirements, unpopular AI features, environmental concerns, and lost trust from the broken, last version of Windows promise created resistance Microsoft has struggled to overcome, even with the leverage of ending Windows 10 support. Dell's admission that adoption is running 10 to 12 points behind the previous generation transition quantifies what the market has been demonstrating for 4 years. Windows 11's rejection isn't a perception or a narrative. It's a measurable reality that Microsoft and its partners are now forced to acknowledge publicly. If this information changed your understanding of the Windows 11 situation, share it with someone still trying to decide what to do with their Windows 10 machine.